Our first action item is to vote to reopen special town meeting warrant for possible insertion of article regarding funding for the DPW capital project. I'd make a motion to open the special town meeting warrant for the possible insertion of article regarding funding for DPW capital project.
Second.
Okay, and I will poll the board,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, right.
I'll have to poll the board because we're doing a hybrid meeting, so.
Right.
Mr. Rowland,
Yeah, aye.
Mr. Darcy,
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne.
Aye.
Unanimous vote to reopen the warrant for possible insertion of an article.
Great. Next item is, so based on that, discussion and vote on adding article to special town meeting warrant regarding funding for DPW capital project. Mr. Moresco, do you want to just give for the record, I mean, obviously we've all been briefed, but we'd like to give a record what this
Sure.
specific request is for.
Absolutely. So just to give some background and context, DPW was appropriated $17,650,000 to build a new building at 35 Parsonage. The old Republic building became available, and the town meeting agreed to purchase. That was June of 2020 for $4.7 million, and there was somewhere between about $900,000 worth of renovations. DPW still needed additional space to store vehicles, work bays, storage, offices, and meeting rooms. So they're moving forward with another building on that same parcel, with them doing the prep to get the land ready to be built. Due to economic climate and timing, they had to redesign twice, each time making the building a little smaller. When we had the first, Tom had left, we had Sean Patterson. The building was around 58,000 square feet, and it was designed that way because we spend a lot of money on expensive vehicles. They wanted to get them in out of the elements to protect them. The DPW, originally the plan was to build the two buildings on Parsonage Street site. That became unfeasible when they really get into it because of the proximity with the layout, with the wetlands that were there, where the buildings had to be situated. They couldn't get enough space to drive around the buildings because remember the police station had to stay open. So in the police station, we looked at the site across from Roach Brothers, and police station was possibly going to move there to some town land. And then it was decided we didn't want to really cut down all those trees. And then while this was all happening, the Republic facility came up for sale, and that saved the trees, gave another location for the DPW to be able to go to. And that's where they're being designed. The DPW project, one of the things that are driving the cost with DPW is timing. It's the last project to be built. Anyone that's watching the economics, the cost of goods are going up exponentially, the cost of labor is going up exponentially. That's no fault of the DPW as far as those costs. Those are driven by the economy. The other thing I wanted to mention that's important to mention is that overall, even though their project will need some additional funding, overall, we were able to save the town taxpayer $13.7 million, and that was based on the financing. Because of Marshfield being a double A plus, we got an average rate of the money was 2 cents on the dollar. And that's how we come up with the $13.7 million savings, which was predicated on an average $450,000 house, that household would save $1,000 over the 30-year note. So now we hear the bids came in. DPW, as I mentioned, they've had to rent because the building's so much smaller. The building that they're in now at Republic, at the time we bought it, was roughly only the third of the size. So everyone knew another building was going to have to be made. They couldn't fit everything into that building. So they had to go out and rent, modular office trailers, storage trailers, and they did rent some bathroom trailers to accommodate everybody. And there's a cost to that, and that money comes off the capital project. And the longer, the project runs, the money keeps churning away. So they went out to bid, the project was short. It's estimated that, continuing to bill out while the project is being built, between the additional cost of the bid and the rentals, we would need to add approximately $1,810,000 to the overall project cost, which was $17,650,000, which brings the total project cost $19,460,000, less what was already spent. And that would allow them. Now, the other option is, and this, as you know, it's on the warrant, will have to be approved at town meeting. If it's not approved at town meeting, the travesty of that would be is the DPW would have to go back to the drawing board. They'd have to re-engineer, and the architect would have to change the building, lower the size, which would then lower the price. There's a cost to that. Architects don't work for nothing, probably $250,000 to do that. Plus the time frame that it would take to do that. It's estimated the cost of goods are going up, construction materials still 7 to 10%. So that would add a significant amount of money during the time frame that they had to re-engineer. So that gets us to where we are now, is that they need the building. There's no doubt that they need the building. Right now, why they don't have the building, they weren't able to do repairs on the small vehicles or repairs on the large trucks. As the board knows, we had to go out and we got a contract with Sullivan Tire in West or East Bridgewater, I forget, to work on the big trucks. Luchetti's was the bidder to work on the smaller vehicles because they just don't have the capacity over there to be able to do repairs. I mean, they're struggling to do signs and try to operate. I mean, they do have the trailers and they're doing as best they can. But we hear this article is brought forth, and I know Mr. Carrier is in the audience. I'm sure he'll be happy to ask any questions. But this article's here, the board would have to, because the warrant closed, the board would have to vote to open the warrant to insert the article in there, and then it would be up to town meeting. I came up with the recommendation that out of that 1.8, 500,000 should be free cash, because we recognize that DPW, really they were delayed part because of the project. The emphasis was, we got the senior center going, we got the police station going. They needed to, come to agreement on what they wanted, but, they were impeded. We had to redo the wetland. There was a delay, and it was just, that wasn't a fault of theirs. So the delay in time and going out to bid and having to re-engineer the building and stuff like that, that's where I come up with the 500,000 to be. It's sort of a fairness issue. I hope that answers some questions.
Yeah, no, it does. Just a couple other questions for me. I appreciate that. I appreciate you laying that out for us, Mr. Maresco. One thing that you said was they needed to, when we made the pivot to build over and acquire the public services building. I know that plan originally, like you said, saved us over $13 million versus the original plan of $17,650,000.
No.
So on
just
the
to be
just a really solid plan.
Mr. Chairman,
but then, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, just to correct that, the 13.7 million was a savings on the financing. There was a de minimis amount of savings. I would say we probably saved maybe 300,000 on that building. Remember, because we still had to bring that building up to code.
Right.
We had to do, normally that was a 15-year-old building, needed to be painted. Right. We had to replace the rug, a couple of windows. They had a flame heating system that was in a ceiling like this, which we would never allow our employees to be in, so we had to make those adjustments. Some bathroom adjustments. We had to have in this day and age, you got to have sort of a secured entryway, so a secured entryway had to be built, and then we had to do some furnishings.
If that makes sense.
Yes, and then and Mr. Carrier can add more if that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
If you can hear me.
Sure.
Okay, additional things we did, we widened one of the garage doors because of winter operations. If we have to service a plow truck, taking the plow off adds a delay to getting it back out on the road, so that was one of the modifications. We also added emergency generation, because obviously we have to continue operations in circumstances. Those added to the cost. And in a general upgrade of the HVAC system was required through the entire building. We also, on our own hook, did a whole bunch of painting, cleaning, and freshening up.
Could you come up to the mic, present, just so that people
I
can
can
hear?
hear him,
Yep.
but maybe others can't.
I'm Dave Carrier, 34 Outlook Road, Board of Public Works. I'll repeat what I said. We added additional things that Mr. Maresco didn't have on his hit list, which is the emergency generation system, the widening of one of the garage bay doors in order to allow us to bring in full-size trucks. We are servicing most of the DPW equipment right now, and I think come February, we're going to begin reservicing the smaller vehicles for police and fire. But we can't handle the pump trucks, we can't handle the hook and ladder, that just don't have the physical space. That's one of the things that is going into the new construction building is an equipment maintenance facility that is large enough to accommodate that. Where we are is a temporary basis. You know, we have, you know, as Mr. Maresco mentioned, we had to add temporary services so we had places to house people, but we were actually going to face some of those costs for approximately the same period of time had we stayed at 35 Parsonage, because we had to abandon the old garage before it could be torn down and the police project could begin.
Right.
And, you know, those all contributed to the delay. COVID-19 has not helped any of the commodity costs. We basically doubled them. I know the modification that was being done for the Veterans Home out in Holyoke, if I remember rightly, originally budgeted something like 400 million, was bumped up to about 680 million. So that is kind of the cost comparison that we have seen for escalation. I would defer to Patrick, but I believe that's correct. And we,
Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
but no, I mean, you know, and, you know, our main goal with 965 that has helped is we've been able to continue operations without some difficulty we would have other experienced through the past year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's the thing for certain, there's supply chain issues across the board in the United States of America right now due to COVID-19 and other issues, and you're seeing it in many places. I see other construction projects that have been challenged, and in a lot of ways, this building has kind of fallen into a perfect storm of that. Plus, you make a very good point that we needed to tear down the old building. So it's always been part of the plan to have temporary buildings and work areas, because we couldn't start on the police station without the old DPW barn being torn down. So, and then of course there was a wetlands delineation issue that we had to, you know, deal with and make sure that, you know, we were doing the right thing there. One thing I wanted to ask real quickly is, Mr. Maresco, you said originally that there was an annual cost of $300,000 for these temporary buildings, but that had been reduced to $180,000 annually through discussions with the Board of Public Works. What did the board give up?
What they did is they returned a couple of modular trailers. They were able to get a trailer to own from, I think it was East or West Bridgewater. East Bridgewater. So they just had to pay to have that, you know, delivered and put into place. And then they were able to return 2 of the rental units. Is it 2?
Yeah, 2, and we are anticipating 2 more.
2 more. So in totality, 4, which would then bring the cost down over the life of the construction.
Okay. Well, I think it's good to know that there was efforts to reduce, you know, cost in any level and still be able to maintain, you know, high level of service to the town. No doubt that, you know, we've said this all along, the Board of Public Works building, barn, or whatever you want to call it, garage, it's been sorely needed to continue to provide good service to our townspeople. It's unfortunate that we would have to go back to town meeting for any kind of additional funding, but, you know, I would never really like to do that. If anything, I'd like to go back to town and tell them to be safe. I mean, that we didn't spend the money that we originally said we would. But based on this discussion, I mean, there's a lot of uncontrollables in this mix. And I think ultimately, personally, I think we should put it on the warrant and leave up, ultimately it'd be the decision of town meeting on whether we can move forward with this plan. Mr. Darcy, do you have any additional questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Concerns?
Thank you. Yeah, so I don't think anyone could have predicted the post-COVID construction pricing boom, which really, has set us back, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. And then also all the supply chain bottlenecks that are also causing huge costs and have huge cost implications. And you guys are certainly team players by relocating, and you need a building. So I definitely support moving forward with this plan. It's unfortunate, but we're dealing with the reality of the situation and what's happening right now in the construction market, and you guys need a building. And I know it's not ideal working out of temporary trailers right now. So one question I wanted to ask you, Dave, is I know, one of the benefits of the new building is keeping more of the fleet indoors, which will reduce maintenance costs. So with this plan, what percentage of the fleet do you think we'll be able to keep indoors?
Basically, we should be someplace in any typical moment in time, someplace between 90% and the other 10% may well be sitting in the equipment maintenance garage being rehabbed or serviced. So the intent is to get as much of it in we can. That will also tie into the vehicles that get replaced for the older vehicles, whether they upsize and stuff like that, because the square footage is going to be fixed, but the size of the vehicles may not. Having worked for the town as an engineer and also as the superintendent for a period of time, that garage, I actually did some of the rehab in it back in the 2007, 2008 time, 2005, 6 time, sorry. And we were welding gussets onto floor beams in order to support the vertical beams to keep things from falling down. It was ready to go.
Thank you, Dave.
Anything else, Mr. Darcy?
No.
All right, Mr. Kukoi?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Garrett, thanks for coming in.
I did unannounced.
I know we keep on discussing that, you needed temporary buildings. Temporary buildings were always in the plan. If temporary buildings were always in the plan, then we wouldn't need additional funds for the buildings because the buildings would have already been, cost of those would have been in the plan. So that seems an extra. That said, I don't think when that was drafted, anyone had the knowledge when they got deeper into it, the environmental challenges that the existing location had for you. And then an alternative location would have been destructive to the environment again, cutting down more trees and stripping a lot. So we were able to find a building that was not maybe perfect. And so we were able to solve that problem. I, with Chairman, don't like to go back to the citizens and ask for money. I think in this case, given the COVID, given the spiral of costs and everything like that, where we are, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm not trying to put a bow on this, but would you be happy enough to please explain alternative 1 and 3 so everyone understands the need for those?
I didn't bring them with me.
I have,
I didn't happen to have my copy of that.
I can help with
Go ahead. Yeah, Pat.
if I could. So, alternative 1 was the additional bay that has a cost of $630,000. And alternative 3 is a rear canopy access. I think it's an overhang over the door so that the people can come in and out and service equipment on the fly type of thing. And I'll let Dave explain the all type. I think he'll know the operation side much better than Mike.
Well, actually, all 2, I think what you just described as the final all 2 was the industrial equipment.
All 2 is not included.
Huh?
All 2 isn't included in the total in front of
Right. In our plan, we deleted all 2 because we'll go forward with the older beat-up equipment that we have, servicing it as we go, and 5 years down the line or whatever it is, when a piece of equipment dies, that's when we would have to come before town meeting to see improvements. At that time, it would be the intent of Public Works that we would come in with the cost benefit. We could keep repairing it for this, or we can replace it for that, and the net cost going out actually goes down.
yeah, so thank you. I just want to make sure that everyone understood that. Those do drive some costs, but those, from everything I've looked at and spoken about, are badly needed, so.
Yeah. The plus with the Alt 1 is, one of the things you do when you're particularly in the winter servicing timeframe, but it can be other times coming out of a nor'easter or something like that. With that canopy, you can actually do some of your pre-wash down cleanup in an area that's set up for it already, before you bring it into your bays or bring it into your storage area. And that helps a lot for the building's maintenance over time. That's part of what did in 35 Parsonage is over the years, you have all that salt and sand getting washed off the vehicles, and it's gonna corrode everything at the floor level.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to explain those. Thank you. No further questions or comments, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, great. So, as I said, I definitely would like to add this to our special town meeting warrant and bring it to, bring it to the town, bring it to the people of the town. I think one thing is Mr. Carey, and I think you can pass this on to your fellow board members and other employees and staff of the DPW. I think it's important that you guys take the time or make the effort to educate the people of the town what this article's about, and build consensus for it, because I think as Michael said, as Mr. Maresco said, it would cost. I mean, we're down the road on this thing, and I think it's a great solution. I mean, I think the Republic Service Building was a great opportunity at the time, and I've known all along we were going to have to do a lot of those enhancements. But at the end of the day, I think it's just really important that the townspeople understand, how we got there, how we got here, and why it's important to approve this article.
One of the things I would.
I'm going to make a motion.
Sorry.
Oh,
No, you finish.
Mr.
There
Go
was
ahead.
one thing I wanted to add, which it occurred to me as we were talking, that
Sure.
back in the late 2019 timeframe and getting into 2020, when we first got into the COVID, the pricing was actually looking very favorable. We were looking at ads at that point in time. When COVID first came on, everybody that we were dealing with, whether it was our owner's project manager, Weston and Sampson, our engineers, and basically our own experiences, myself, among others, 2009 recession was kind of our template. And construction costs coming out of that actually went down. Projects got done much, under budget than what they'd originally been budgeted. We saw the reverse of this, but that was because the entire world infrastructure, basically supplying things, shut down, not just the U.S. And that hurt us.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, there's no doubt. It's, like I said, I'm seeing it in the private sector, I'm seeing it in the public sector. I've seen projects completely stalled, purposely stalled, because of these kinds of issues. So there's no doubt there's you guys have been throwing a curve, and we've been throwing a little bit of a curveball on this, and but we'll, I think it's something that we should take to town meeting, and hopefully we'll get it done. So.
Mr. Chairman, if
I need to read the article, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could just, one other thing to throw in that I think is important to note is this solution, with the way this is put together, doesn't require us to go out and bond this money. So it's coming from free cash and from retained earnings.
Right.
So there is, even though we hate to do it, it's inevitable that we had to, but it's not going to sting over the next 30 years.
I'm done.
Very good point. So that's a very good point. So for anybody listening or is there, and especially at town meeting when we go, I want to make sure people know that we're fortunate to be in a financial position where we will not have to go and borrow any money to make this adjustment, and that it'll come from free cash and retained earnings. So I'm going to read the article. The article will be: will the town vote to appropriate $1,810,000 for costs related to the DPW building project, and to meet said appropriation, transfer the sum of $500,000 from certified free cash, $589,500 from water retained earnings, and $458,500 from wastewater retained earnings, and $262,000 from solid waste retained earnings for additional funding of the DPW capital building project, or take any other action relative thereto. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve with the addition of this article to the special town meeting warrant this fall.
Second?
All those.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne.
Aye.
Unanimous vote to put this question on the warrant.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Carrier. Good luck on this.
Thank you.
All right, the next, I'm gonna make a motion to vote, and for us to vote to close special town meeting warrant.
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne.
Aye.
Unanimous decision to close the warrant.
Okay, we have a couple more action items. The next is discussion and vote on a one-day entertainment license. It says on the agenda, one-day common victual license, an entertainment license for Recovery Rocks, but at this point in time, they're only applying for a
That is correct.
entertainment license for Recovery Rocks. Recovery Rocks is it's an event. What, Michael? It's a run, correct? Or I can't remember. I saw the article on it. I can't recall what.
Yeah, I think it is. But just on that one, Mr. Chairman, there's also 3 common vitulers also.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna put it all together.
Yeah. Let me look up for you. I'm looking at the rocks, see what that is.
I thought Rocks was no. Rocks is separate. The other agenda item is the common vic licenses for Lobster Fest.
No, no. The only common
For some reason, I
vitular,
don't have it back.
yeah.
I don't have
The,
backup for it.
oh, because there's
I have
there's the motion thing. So the motion would be for common vitular licenses for Montilli's Bakery, Stars of Hingham Harbor, Mulaney's Harborside, and 1 entertainment license for Recovery Rocks for September 9, 2020, pending the approval from the Marshfield Police, Fire, and Board of Health.
Okay. All right. For some reason, I don't have that like that. I just have that.
Mr. Chairman, would you like myself or the vice
You make the
chair
motion.
to make the motion for us? Yeah, yeah. Mr. Vice Chair, you want to, or would you like me to make the motion?
You can make the motion.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that the board approves a common victuals license for Montilio's Bakery, Stars of Hingham Harbor, Mulaney's Harborside, and 1 entertainment license for Recovery Rocks, September 9th, 2021, pending approval from the Marshfield Police Department, Marshfield Fire Department, and Marshfield Board of Health.
Second.
Motion's been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne.
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the common vitulers and the 1 entertainment license for September 9th.
All right, and then that's it. That's it for business. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Nope, Mr.
Oh,
There's one more. Number 5.
that's also common vic license for Lobster Fest, correct?
That's for Lobster Fest. That's correct, Mr. Chairman, for September
Yeah,
12th.
Okay, so that's Wanderson, Gonzalez,
Correct.
Gonzalez,
Food truck. Yes, sir.
And this is an application for one-day common vic license for Lobster Fest.
Yes.
On September 12th. They paid their fee and they're all set with the Board of Health. So I'd like to approve,
And-
this particular, we're getting these common vic licenses coming in, but because we meet, we only meet so many times, and the event's on the 12th, I want to approve this one and also set approve that any others that come through between now and the event, and they pay the appropriate application fee and approval from the Board of Health, that they would be approved for this event. So I'll make a motion to approve the common victual license for Gonzalez food truck, and also other common victual license that come in between now and the Lobster Fest event on September 12th, contingent on receipt of application fee and approval from the Board of Health.
Marshfield PD and Fire Department.
Oops.
Yep.
Marshall PD and Fire Department, of course. Sorry.
Second.
Second, a motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne.
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the one-day common victual and to allow any other common victual licenses to be approved as long as they provide the appropriate documentation and get the approval of the police, fire, and board of health.
Excellent. And just a quick note, I appreciate everyone working with me being remote. I travel. Fortunately, we're still allowed to, through the Commonwealth, to vote remote, to work remotely for Board of Selectmen meetings. But I appreciate everyone's patience with this. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion been made and duly second, and roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Right?
Unanimous vote to adjourn.